Welcome back to the tutorial. So we've moved on a tad. What I have created, whence you see here, is really the next step from what you've just seen in that last video. And yes, we have changed the map just because there was no trees and I got bored of it. And I wanted to show you really just what you do really once you start getting electric miners, etc. Now, before we do, let me just point out some of the things that I do wrong myself, and you have to be a bit careful of it. So when you place an electric miner, for example, which is a good starting point, let's just put that there. So look to the right, expected resources. It's picking up 2 types of ore. You can do that, and you can filter, and you can even do clever things with that. I would recommend not doing that because it does cause issues. And you see here, I've done that. I've mistakenly caught basically coal in this system. So all I do is I press F and basically run along the belt. F just picks anything up that's underneath you. And in this case, I think though that's something we're going to keep an eye on because that is not acceptable. We have to just try and avoid that. So what I'm doing here is again, is just putting down more electric miners. We can just quickly check the expected resources and that's looking pretty good. Let me show you. So what we have effectively now done is we've put miners at a sort of distance, an equidistant place, just checking all of the resources. Yep, so very near the coal, but we're good. And we have placed them in a kind of, as you see that, the highlighted areas where it will mine. And you see there is overlap, and I'm okay with that because I don't want there to be sort of little bit of patches left. But I think that's a good example of kind of how to do it. And here you can see we're starting to mix like one patch here with another. Let's just put some lights down so you can actually see what we is on about, my brothers. And you can see here, basically, I'm just going to make lamps because they're brilliant. Love lamps. If you don't have lamps in your base, it's not a base. That's true. Same with concrete, but we'll come to that. But basically, you can see what we're doing is we're trying to just build a network of miners. So again, what we've done here, let's just build a few more of those. It's quite useful. Is the coal is obviously a key part of this. So we're just going to put, I know I've not placed these very logically, but hopefully that helps you see. The coal is probably a key one. So again, we've used these belts, these splitters to kind of direct. Now again, I like long straight lines. I always have. I even saved a tree. Look, I'll give it a kiss. I do love trees. And so what I've done here is split out the coal to come directly to my steam engines. So here we have basically an automation, if you will, of coal, which is exactly what we wanted. This is as our desire intended. So we now have that. We have some old legacy stuff here. In fact, I don't think that is legacy. I think we're still not actually mining stone, so we'll come to that. This is definitely legacy because this was the remnants of a furnace block. And I left it there because obviously it's still full of plates. So we can do clever things. So for example, this is our new furnace stack here, which I will show you in just a moment. But we can then click on the splitter and say input. So input is things in. So which one is the priority for input? So in this case, it's this one. So we drain this. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me show you my design. This design is by no means the best design. It is something I do because I like to do it quickly, but I have seen many people do many different things. This at the core of it is the design there. Now let's just remove the poles because I think the poles can be slightly contentious. So this is where you have furnace, this is then the product out, so that's where we put stuff out. And then stuff in is on here, and what you do is you split the belts. So you see here we've got half, you know, like when you go to your local Indian restaurant, you have half chips, half rice, you know, chicken boona. And that's pretty much what we've done here. Half chips, half rice. And that then takes us into basically what you see here. So this works quite well. Now, some say this is a debated point, a very violently debated point. Some say that there is a better way to do this, and I'm going to show you it. I will allow you to make your own minds up because I don't agree with it. But when you come to these initial power poles, you see here you either put them in the thing or you can space them between them here. So I have seen this done quite often, like, oops, I'm doing it wrong already. Like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. So it makes a little grid, and then all you do is just put that below. So again, you have a gap between. I don't know if you agree. I think people who do this are insane. These are people that, you know, they kind of use squat toilets. It just makes no sense. And I think this is obviously what is going on here. I don't know, but I don't think I agree with that. So I'm deleting it because it is an offence to me to see that. But I do agree that actually the way I do it with the polls like here, so it's 1, 2, then 3, I get that annoys some people. So this is why I'm willing to accept that, yeah, okay, this is not the best way to do it. It's just the way I do it. But there we go. So what this then takes us to is, oh, these stones are in the way. I want to probably get rid of them, actually. Yeah, get rid of them. Is that you basically have furnace stacks. And the reason you do this is so that you maximize the belt output. You want to basically have saturated belts. And the way you do that is you basically have to set it up so that it constantly basically is running. So let me just show you. So if I again just sort of, I don't really have ratios in mind when I come to do this. You can do ratios. There are certain, you know, sort of numbers of furnaces to space on the belt. I don't really do that, but I probably should. But again, it's just me. That's the way I am. Okay, so let's see. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, I'm constantly running out of these things. Let's just build a load more. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3. There we go. So this then takes us, there's always one left flipping thing. There we go. So then we can just then get your arms. Again, I'll show you how we build these in just a moment. But this is just a furnace stack to take us to the next step. Because once you've basically got electric miners, this is where you should be headed. But we'll get there. Right, so I think you get the idea. Let's just fill these in. 1, 2, 1, 2. Probably going to run out. Yeah. Am I going to run out? No, I'm not going to run out. 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. And then for power, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know it's not the most efficient. I'm sure some of you are scoffing at the screen right now, but that's fine. That's just fine. There we go. So that pretty much is a furnace stack ready to go. It looks all right. If you look at electrical overlay, a bit messy, but it'll do. And what we want to do with this one is actually channel now into this coal and iron, because we want to make this another iron belt. I know, madness, right? Because we're probably going to turn this into a steel belt, but for now, let's just do it. So you see the way I've done it. So you've got 2 supplying. Let's just look at those. So you got 2 supplying. There we go. And then you got iron. The iron is obviously just basically there. And what we can do is you can do a number of ways to do this, but I do it generally like this. Oh, actually, can't do it that way, because if I'm going to have both of these run, I just need to split out that. And let's see. I think that might be the best way to do it. So you see, we've then, I think I like that. Not sure about that one. I think we could be clever. There we go. And then can't really do much with that one, so let's just move that there. Do I not have... So again, with all of these things, you kind of have to make them until you mass produce them. There we go, my friends. They're good, done. Right, so let's just put some lamps down so we can see what we can see. Hopefully this makes sense, because what this basically gives you is really the kind of supercharged way to do it. If you do it any other way, you're probably wasting resources, or you're wasting time, let's say. But time is as always, it's of the essence. And you need to really think. That's quite depressing. That. Let's just pull that back. And then what that gives us is a belt of iron. And we can just take that under. Because if I wanted to, I could now turn this into steel. But we'll come back to that, because that feels like it might be a bit too far. Again, there's an optimum thing here. I kind of future-proof these because as the belts get faster, it means that you then you can have deeper stacks basically. But hopefully that makes sense. Now what I've done here, this is the beginnings of what I like to do as a belt base. Now I don't usually do belt bases. I tend to not do them. With things like cogs, for example, I would just have them directly inserted like we do here. We have the wires basically being created from copper plate just being directly inserted into this. But when it comes to cogs, it's a bit of again, it's an open topic. Some people do, some people don't. I decided this time round to belt them and drive them as a resource because they're like an intermediate resource. And there's a reason why, because obviously when it comes to things like, you know, arms, for example, because you're going to use an awful lot of these, it just made sense to do that. So as you can see here, it just makes the feed in a bit easier because you can double side the belt. So here we could just have that working. This again, don't look at that too deeply. It's not particularly of use at the moment. But what that then gives us by doing the same with copper, we then have effectively the various things that we need. So copper then just runs with the iron into chip factories. So you see here we're making chips. Again, very structured, very simple. We'll share all these blueprints if they're of interest to you, you can have them. And it just begins then our process here of things like splitters. It gives us then underground belts. And again, we've got quite a lot of these. And it gives us then, I'm just going to put some of those back. There we go. But it just means we never have to worry about them again. They're being produced. That is done, right? Again, I don't really want to come this way with the factory, but I kind of have to because I don't have landfill yet. We're not far from it, but maybe that's something we do. Maybe that's something we do quite quickly now. One of the things we're not doing on this particular base as well is any research because we've removed it all. So basically in the process of setting this up a bit more, you know, structured way, we're now back to kind of where we began, where we were previously, and that we now need to actually start making science again. And there's a way to do this, and I'm going to probably do something maybe down here because what I want to, oh wow, there's lots of trees in the way. All right, probably do it here just because for ease of argument. So we're making our assemblers, we're making our miners, and we are making arms, which are all very, very useful things. And again, at the moment, I'm just having them make in the factory, but you can have them feed into a box. In fact, let's just do that because that would be kind of useful. And what that then gives us is the ability to, you know, basically start using the resources of the factory. Probably the next thing to do is actually steel. We need to make steel, but I think actually we need to make both of the sciences. So let's maybe make one science to begin with. And let's just put that probably, I'm just going to put it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is an example. This is not how you should do it. This is just an example of how I would do it. Is that to make this, we just need the copper plates and the iron wheels. So all we need to do is basically take copper plate. So we can just delete that for the moment and put that under. Oh, need to just make that a bit further down. And there we go. So that then means we have everything we need there. 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't like that's an odd number, so let's just do 4. And then we have 1, 2, 1, 2. These are just my designs. There's nothing particularly impressive or useful about them. I would just say that they are pretty bog standard. And then we have, I think we have some of these. Let's see, we've got 3 of these. Let's just place them 1, 2, oops, wrong, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully that just makes sense. Again, we just have to double up our poles there. So that at least starts the process of okay, so this sort of thing. So let's just now research that. And now what we need to do is do green science. So I need to clear a bit of space. And again, nice and simple. It's just we have to just clear out all of this. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're making arms here, but I think we're going to duplicate that. So I think we're just going to make a sort of arm belt down here. and we're going to do two interesting things. So we're going to make belts and we're going to make arms. So that is pretty much. Now I think we do need to move it down just one bit. This is always the perils of these sorts of bases. There we go. So that's what we need. Let's just make some arms. Okay, so what this then gives us, again, I sort of follow this design of 2 and 2. Hopefully you agree that looks quite nice, doesn't it? You can always put a few lights in as well, just to keep it looking splendid. They're not particularly aligned, but for now, let's just go with it. And again, because they make these things super fast, I'm not too worried about that. So we need plates. So let's just go under. And we need, we don't think we need copper here. I think we need chips though. So for this top, no, let's do it here actually. So for this bottom one here, we can, no, it's not going to work. There we go. So that begins that, nice. And then for the blue one there, we'll just bung that in for now. And I think we actually only need to go there. We don't need any more there. So hopefully you're following that because that's relatively straightforward. Slight problem there, we have to double up, but there we go. So that should be producing that. Boom, nice, nice, nice. So now we have to clear a space and just make our science, and the science just is basically belts and arms, nice and simple. Right, so I tend to do it like this. So I would belt into the middle there, and then I just have something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Set them. Have we not researched it yet? Oh, we're researching it now. There we go. So we're slightly ahead of the game actually. That's quite nice to be ahead for once. So let's just pick up some of these things because obviously that's very useful that it's making as our belts. There you go. Right, so we can set that to green. 1, 2, 3. Let's just power it all. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. And then we have green. Simple really, isn't it? Simple as that. I think probably let's do landfill because that's by far the one I'm really waiting for. And then all we need to do is a better way to do this, I wonder. Probably not. Let's just feed it to there. Done. So there we go. Simple as that. It's amazing. The game is just incredible. It really is great. Not the prettiest. We can always move these around. Probably would move this down a bit, but again, hopefully that makes good sense. You can see here we probably need a faster arm. So you have faster arms for use somewhere. Here is a good example of that. So here is where we want to just speed up the arms. Oh, right, it helps if you connect them. There we go. So that means the arm production's quicker. Boom. So that, again, pretty useful, right? So that takes us to a point where we have red and green science, and there's an awful lot of red and green science. There's a huge amount, in fact, and we only need to start looking for blue science eventually. So we're not going to worry about that just yet. I think in this video, we're now pretty much cooking on gas. Let's just build a few more laboratories, because I say it in a very British way, laboratories. And I think that's pretty good, because then we can actually repurpose this and we can have our mega base, because again, we're playing a ribbon world, so we need to go this way. We can't go this way. So I think for now this will just be to kind of get us started until we get bots, but it looks kind of pretty. I think I'll move this back. In fact, I probably could move that back. Let me think. I could move it down one. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I'm probably going to do that just because, again, aesthetics are everything. I can't have ugly bases. It's not allowed. It's in the Engineer Code 104, paragraph 3. It's banned. There we go. So, oh wow, got that wrong, didn't I? Let's just keep building our laboratories. 1 and 2. So there we go. So that again just helps us with the science. So again, you can see here it's going to speed up a bit. I think I'm going to put faster arms on them because I am very impatient. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So that helps a lot. So that should mean our science is rocketing. It's not. Interesting. There we go. Eventually. And that takes us, I think, to what the next step should be, which is probably defense. I think we're getting close to like defense being pretty important. I am amazed we haven't been attacked by biters yet, by the way. Got some stuff here we can clear up as well, so let's just do that. Always keep your base clear. If I can give one bit of advice, don't just create spaghetti then bugger off. Don't, do make efforts to try and keep it rather nice. Otherwise you just have a bad time and you don't want that. There we go. Okay, let's just keep our stone production going. And I think that pretty much takes us to a happy point, I think. So now stone is probably something we want to start making. So let's think about this. So if I get rid of that, is that our only stone patch? Wow, it is. That's disaster if ever I've seen it. So let's just move these out the way. 1, 2, 3. Put some of them in there as well. Boom. It's a very noisy birds in the trees outside. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Done. There we go. Right, so now we can basically go and put... Oh, do I not have miners? Let's go grab some. Again, one of the beauties of the game is if you're making stuff, you know it's there. Look at that, 45 miners. Goodness me. Just a little tip here, I would do this. I would click the box there and limit how much gets put in here, because otherwise you will be making it forever. There we go. Oh, no, I need those. Quite useful, though, to have lots of resources there. So would recommend that. I think that was one of the things, again, I didn't learn until very late in my Factorio life. There we go. Now we've kind of supercharged this one because we're going to need an awful lot of stone. So, because I want a lot of landfill. So what I'm going to do is... It does make it quite quick though, so let's just do that. I'm going to use some quicker arms just so it produces them quicker. And I think we're still waiting for it to be made, but what we're going to do is then have landfill dropped into, I think, something like this. And now just put that in a box. Oops. That is not great, but it'll do, because what it's going to give me is effectively, there we go, so it'll start producing again, not great, but once that's completed we then have landfill, because we need to fill this top bit here. It won't take long, but it means we start pushing the entire mega structure this way. So hopefully that makes sense there. Right, so again, a lot of stuff happening. Let's just kind of recap what we did. We learned that we should put our miners in a nice little structure like you see here. Always put lamps on them so you can see what's going on. I think, belt up and belt in automated coal to your factory power plant. In this case, it's steam engines. I would seriously recommend then a furnace stack of some sort of quality, as you see here. This might be a bit excessive, but as we get better belts, obviously it becomes more needed. And as you can see, let's just go and plug in our second furnace, because we actually have 2 lots of oh no, we can do it here actually. Let's do that. So let's just plug that in, so at least then we have both furnace stacks running. So that means it just helps us with throughput. There we go, we are done. So let's go and start our landfill little factory-ette going. This landfill to me is probably one of the most useful things in the game. And it takes a lot of stone, but what it effectively gives you is options, which is what you want. I think we'll start looking at solar. I need to make some steel. Got automation 2, advanced metal. I mean, these are all really useful. I think the key one is probably going to be maybe this, logistics 2, which is better logistics belts. Circuits are definitely something I'm going to cover, but not quite yet, because there's an awful lot you can do with that. And I think engines then start to unlock vehicles and so on. But I think for now, probably going to unlock the gun because it feels like I'm going to be attacked soon. So I probably need to have, in fact, I'm going to make my heavy armor. What do I need? Oh, I need steel. Right. So let's just make some steel because we haven't done that yet. I'm just going to do it in four little factories. Let me just grab some coal. I saw some down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll do. 5, 6. And we're going to just make some steel. This just starts, it unlocks it in terms of the game. So I'm just going to stand on the belt and press F. And just run up the belt. That gives me a load of iron. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's it. That's all you need to do. Is you basically, steel for some reason is just cooked iron, which probably is true actually. If I remember my manufacturing degree, or engineering degree rather, I do recall that being the case. But steel is just heat intensified iron, if I can remember correctly. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what we're doing is we're trying to unlock this one. So we've got to craft 50 iron. So we'll leave that running, or steel rather. So we have military finished. I'm just going to make that gun. There we go. So we've got shotguns as well. I forgot how good the shotguns were. They used to be brilliant, but at the end of the game, you'll never use them. Right, so now we're getting landfill. So let's just put that there. And we'll just leave that running. We probably do need a lot of stone for other things. In fact, stone is going to be our biggest issue. Because once that runs out, how big is that patch? 51, that's not a lot. So we are going to have issues, I think. But let me just show you what I wanted to do with said landfill. It's basically to plug the water gap so we can start to basically push forward. But I think it will take a bit of time. It's always going to be a bit slow. I think in the next video we're going to look at defense, because as you can see, ribbon worlds are brilliant because you only have to defend left and right. And I think it reminds me for some reason of the Longearth books by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. Oh, brilliant books. If you've never read them, they'll never make a good film of it. So then it's why you probably never not heard of it. But the concept is absolutely brilliant. There's basically millions, infinite numbers of Earths that you can, with a very simple device powered by a potato, which is hilarious. That's Terry Pratchett all day long. You can step sideways, up or down, not forward or back. So there's like an Earth to the left of you in your mind, figuratively, and there's an Earth to the right of you. We occupy this Earth that we're all on today. But if you go just one Earth another way, you basically turn up in the same Earth as you see today, but slightly different, with no civilization whatsoever. So it's whatever there would be here if humans hadn't existed. And if you imagine traveling 1 million Earths to downward, let's say, or to the left, things get really weird because things, evolution changes. An asteroid hit part the planet or the moon, or it's brilliant. I cannot recommend it enough. I think there's like 5 or 6 books in the series, but just start with the Longearth. It's one of the best series of books, and it always reminds me of Factorio. I don't know why. So definitely worth a read. But anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's continue our guides, and join us next time. We'll look at some defenses.
you